catastrophic situation is playing out in Australia.
The smoke visible from space.
A New Year's Eve crisis going into 2020.
People are telling us this is the worst they've ever seen. The fires have burned more intensely, more ferociously. They seem to have a mind of their own.
Satellite imagery is showing that Arctic sea ice is at its lowest levels on record.
In northern Siberia, it hit 100.4 degrees.
We are looking right now at the all-time record heat for the month of June.
The catastrophic category.
Isn't it familiar? We've seen this scene before, in movies, and now we're watching it unfold right before our eyes. We've heard the warnings, we've read the news, but what have we done as a response? If turning a blind eye doesn't make things better, then what will? There's global warming, increasing risk for pandemics, extreme weather, rising sea levels due to the melting of our polar ice caps, plant and animal extinction. What more do we want to realize that we are digging our own grave by exploiting nature? If we don't do anything, let us brace ourselves for what is coming. Even more horrid, all those sci-fi concepts we only read in books and see on TV. All of it will come to life. And no amount of regret can bring back what we destroyed. Let us do something now. If not, when? When it's too late?
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Afternoons with Monique and Bashera. Our guests for today are the scientists studying the change in our climate, economists, and the CEO of the company that has the most carbon footprint.
Good afternoon to our guests and our viewers, our climate change specialists, Mr. Alan Abarintos, Mr. Ali Espanola, and Ms. Patricia Padillon, our economists, Mr. Harlon Madivieso and Ms. Ana Mahusay, and the CEO of Kinetic Systems Incorporation, Ms. Kara Yap. First of all, we would like to know more about climate change and carbon footprint.
Good afternoon, Monique, Bash, to the people watching, and to my fellow guests. Climate change is a long-term change in weather patterns. It is brought about human activities such as burning fossil fuels and plastic. These activities increase the greenhouse gases in the Earth's atmosphere, which then raises the Earth's average surface temperature. We use past, present, and future theoretical models to monitor climate change.
Good afternoon, everyone. So when we talk about carbon footprint, it is the amount of carbon dioxide emitted due to human activities. So these include heating, transportation, and emissions from electricity production. So greenhouse gas emissions are associated with production, and carbon footprints are associated with consumption.
I didn't know that even our program right now is a cause of carbon emissions. I thought that greenhouse gases is only from burning fossil fuels.
I thought so too, Monique. Well, looks like we learn something new every day.
We also have Ms. Kara Yap, the CEO of a tech company that has the most carbon footprint. Ma'am, will you please introduce your company to us? And what can you say about the carbon dioxide and greenhouse gas emissions of your company?
Hi, I'm Kara from Kinetic Systems Incorporated. We are a manufacturer of computer hardware and software. We have over 10 branches all over the world that profit around $15 million annually. Well, I think carbon footprints are not an issue. People just say that to have something to blame. I mean, why would our company have loads of carbon footprints? Our boxes are made from recycled materials. Even the ink we use is eco-friendly. We are an eco-friendly company.
For your information, ma'am, companies in the digital technology industry are significantly underreporting the greenhouse gas emissions arising along the value chain of their products.
So, are you saying That my company is unsystematic and inaccurate when it comes to submitting greenhouse gas emissions figures reports?
We are not saying, ma'am, that your company is one. It's just that many companies submit different greenhouse gas emission figures depending on where they are reporting them. So, moreover, a study shows that tech companies did not disclose more than 50% of greenhouse gas emissions along the value chain in their reports or the CDP survey. So instead of the reported 360 megatons of carbon dioxide equivalents, which is the standardized unit for all greenhouse gases, the study arrives at a total of 751 megatons. The 391 megatons discrepancy is comparable to the annual greenhouse gas emissions of Australia.
Also, for policymakers and the private sector to set targets for reduced greenhouse gas emissions, it is important to know how much carbon dioxide companies are emitting, and if we lack transparency, it makes it difficult to set realistic targets and develop effective strategies to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and the proper assessment of companies.
Wow, I never thought that some companies would do that. Is there any reason for companies underreporting their greenhouse gas emissions at the time of heightened scrutiny over the role of corporations in driving climate change?
Well, CDP leaves it up to the reporting companies to choose which of the 15 greenhouse gas or GHG protocol categories ranging from business travel to waste disposal are relevant to them. A study shows that this discretionary freedom results in some companies ignoring certain categories or not full reporting the related emissions. Also, most companies have reporting gaps simply because they do not receive emissions data from all suppliers and do not fill the gaps with secondary data.
So what should be done regarding this current underreporting we have observed?
Well, it seems unlikely that voluntary guidelines alone can bring about more accurate disclosures in the future. So consequently, policymakers should think about binding guidelines with clear rules on how greenhouse gas emissions are being reported.
Yes, I also solemnly believe that a new regulatory framework is needed.
What about our economists? What have you thought about climate change?
Some of us have been at the forefront of debate about the policies to combat the global warming, and we think that the efforts to halt the climate change are likely to benefit the future generations.
I would like to add, failing to do an immediate and drastic action could cost the world some $1.7 trillion a year by the middle of this decade, escalating to about $30 trillion a year by 2075. And climate change aggravates the effects of population growth, poverty, and rapid urbanization. So without serious adaptation, climate change is likely to push millions farther into poverty and limit the opportunities for sustainable development and for people to escape from poverty.
On the other hand, the cost of investing towards the global goal would be outweighed by the economic benefits, which would include preventing natural disasters, preserving coastal infrastructures and assets, and protecting food supplies.
Indeed, if we only invest in reducing greenhouse gas emissions and carbon footprint, we can easily combat global warming.
Do the economists also believe that carbon footprints also cause global warming?
Yes, carbon footprints cause global warming. 84% of us economists believe that global warming, which is caused by carbon footprints and greenhouse gases, is a clear danger to global economies. As we have said, health services and other sectors would lose productivity. Renewable resources is more labor-intensive than the use of fossil fuel, and an estimated 25% increase in renewable resources by the year 2025 will result in over 200,000 jobs.
Exactly. My company makes our boxes by hand and prints them. We don't have a partner company for that. And because of that, over 15,000 jobs are created globally.
Ma'am, despite using recycled and eco-friendly materials, there are a lot of factors that contribute to the carbon footprint. Since you are a tech company, the electricity you use is a huge contributor to carbon emissions. Emails, I guess, are a daily occurrence in your company also emit carbon dioxide. In fact, an average spam email emits 0.3 grams of carbon dioxide, a standard email is 4 grams, and an email with attachments is 50 grams.
Wow, I have lots of emails in my spam. What can we do about it?
Well, we can all delete our unimportant emails. We only have about 3 to 5 years to deal with our carbon emissions before facing the catastrophic consequences of global warming. We are currently seeing the consequences of climate change. In addition to that, we are in the middle of April, but we see typhoons which are usually seen from July to November.
So what else can we do?
Instead of using lamps or night lights that use electricity, we can use solar-powered lamps. We can just charge it during the day and use it at night. When reinforcing things, we can use plastic. We just have to cut the lid and the bottom off and heat it around the broken object. We can also do an Earth hour or at least 10 minutes of unplugging all our devices every single day. 10 minutes every day is 300 minutes or 5 hours every month. With that, we can save on electricity and our Earth by doing this.
We can also reduce greenhouse gas emissions by not burning garbage. Some Filipinos burn the dead leaves they rake. So instead of burning it, we can bury it instead so it can be turned into fertilizer. We can also plant in our own homes. One plant can make a difference.
Alright folks, this afternoon turned out to be enlightening for all of us. We learned a lot about climate change, greenhouse gases, and carbon footprints.
Now to all our viewers, it is time for us to take action and save our planet.
Thank you once again to our guests and our watchers. This is Afternoons with Monique and Bashara. See you tomorrow.
It is true, but we are all responsible for what is happening in our world. However, let us hold big companies and higher authorities accountable for the irreversible damage done to the environment. Let us start looking at the bigger picture rather than serving to cater to our personal interests or for our personal gain. After all, we will be the ones suffering from the consequences of our actions. It is time to let the earth breathe.